When we think of Deep Rock Galactic, many things come to mind.
Rock me like a stone! Bloody disgusting
blow!
stuff this Fossil!
Gunner, I need your attention! Mushroom! We're rich! To call!
But I'd wager there's one word we don't normally associate DRG with. Speed. Or more specifically, speed and movement. Okay, that was technically 2 words, but you get the idea. Now, we've all been first-timers at some point in this game. We've all had to get used to the classes, their weaponry, different missions, and adapt to the hazard levels as we progress. As you experience all this new info and mechanics, you start to develop rhythm and repetition of knowing what works, along with common practices and do's and don'ts. One thing that can sometimes fly under the radar, however, is the skill of movement, or more specifically, knowing how to move. By the time you reach Haz 4 and 5, walking and running ain't gonna cut it. You gotta know how to move under pressure, you gotta move even when surrounded, you gotta learn how to navigate hazards, you gotta learn all these things to really know how to move. If there is one class that truly encapsulates the spirit of speed and movement, we need look no further than the Scout. Now, this doesn't mean that every other class sucks at movement. In fact, I would argue they each develop their own respective tech when it comes to mobility. The Scout, however, is the master of movement, and they push it to its limits to become a literal speed demon. Like we did previously with the Gunner, we will be looking at this class from multiple angles to paint a clear picture as to how this class excels at what it does. While the Grapple Hook will be our primary focus, we will also explore how it influences every aspect of the Scout, from movement to combat, and how it all comes together in crafting an identity for the Scout. The Grapple Hook is the bread and butter of any Scout player. It allows the Scout to traverse great distances almost instantaneously and offers superb versatility in its ability to travel vertically or horizontally. It is the cornerstone of the Scout's entire arsenal. The most basic of use for the Grapple Hook is to either get minerals on ceilings and cave walls, or explore areas that are revealed with your flare gun. For folks new to this class, this is usually the first thing they are introduced to in terms of Grapple Hook usage. Getting from A to D, collecting elevated resources, and traveling smoothly up or down. And like every other traversal tool, it can be modified for a lower cooldown, extra range, faster travel velocity, or fall damage reduction. Regardless of how you build it, this is the foundation of the Grapple Hook's general uses. Another important detail that shouldn't be overlooked is that of the 4 traversal tools, the Grapple Hook arguably has the lowest barrier of entry, even below the zipline. You see, every other tool is limited by either ammunition, geography, or personal proficiency. The Grapple Hook, however, gives instant feedback the second you use it, and has only one limitation: time. It is the only resource you need to manage with the Grapple Hook, and it is a resource in infinite supply. This provides folks new to the class ample opportunities to use the Grapple Hook whenever possible, and to get a feel for how it functions. All of these points are a good framework for any Scout to follow in terms of understanding their movement. But like any foundation, we can build off of this and explore the next application of the Scout's mobility in the field of movement and positioning is key to succeeding in DRG, especially in higher hazards. Your ability to navigate around terrain and enemies is crucial to your survivability, and no class does this better than the Scout. When we apply the Grapple Hook's traversal in addition to the Scout's weaponry, a whole new layer of options opens up for the Scout to utilize. A quick question, if I may ask. Based on what I've already stated, why doesn't everyone just play 4 Scouts on a regular basis? I mean, they're fast, they can travel anywhere, light up the caves, and I imagine they would cut mission times in half. Well, there's multiple problems with that, particularly class limitations being a thing, but there is one big problem that will become obvious. And that is the Scout's weapons aren't designed for sustainability. I mean, look at this, they're issued submachine guns, plasma carbines, sawed-off shotguns, and crossbows, to name a few. Stylish, yes, but not ideal for clearing off hordes by themselves. However, they do excel at personal defense and single target damage. Perfect for a mobile and dodgy playstyle that the Scout embodies. Now, every class in this game is capable of dodging attacks and avoiding enemies, but I guarantee you no one can dodge like the Scout can. The mobility the Grapple Hook offers allows the Scout to not just cover ground, but completely avoid enemies instantaneously. They can leap over large groups, avoid deadly AoE attacks, and even recover from enemy crowd control like the Stingtail's grab. The amount of hazards the Scout is able to avoid with the aid of the Grapple Hook is staggeringly high. On the turn of a dime, these dodging tactics can immediately be turned into flanking maneuvers, and this is where the Scout's weapons shine. The Scout's ability to constantly reposition themselves greatly highlights the true strength of the Scout's arsenal, as flanking and assassin weaponry. In the right environment, their weapons become accurate, dependable, and deadly. And good positioning helps make this possible. Oh, and before I forget, their grenades should not be discounted either. They don't have the killing power of other class grenades, but they make up for this in their powerful crowd control abilities, from freezing enemies, slowing them down, or causing infighting amongst them. This paired with the Scout's mobility and toolset allows them to keep distance from their targets, as well as set up advantageous sight lines on high priority targets like Spitters, Praetorians, Oppressors, and Menaces, among other heavy hitters. Now for players who enjoy pushing the limit, the Grapple Hook can really lean into what I call daredevil tactics. Instead of using the Grapple Hook to escape from enemies, you use it to get further into the action and embrace the danger. Tactics like these can let you get away with a lot of insane plays. You can get up close and personal with Dreadnoughts and Praetorians, outmaneuver enemy projectiles, make death-defying leaps that would be lethal to other dwarves, or even grapple towards airborne targets to knock them out of the sky. The list is ever growing. All of these tactics allow the Scout to set up devastating domino effects for their enemies, all while staying safe and keeping a watchful eye on their teammates like a guardian angel. And you'd think we reached the epitome of what the Scout can do. But there is one more thing we must cover, and that is the dance. Having a grasp on all these avenues of movement eventually becomes as simple as breathing. Dodging side to side, grappling over mobs of enemies, flanking dangerous behemoths, diving off cliffs, ascending ledges, all this happening within seconds and not missing a beat. When you finally perfect these patterns of motion, the Scout becomes nigh untouchable. Now, what do I mean by this? When you finally have a grasp on the entirety of the Scout's traversal tech, it can feel like you are on Cloud 9, unstoppable, untamed, flying high. But like a high-performance sports car, you gotta consistently keep that momentum. One mistake can really throw you off your groove.
No! You threw off my groove!
I'm sorry, but you've thrown off the Emperor's groove.
Examples can include the following. Hold on a second, wait. That's the wrong list. My apologies. Here's the actual list. Now you would think all this would be overwhelming to an average Scout. And you would be correct. It can feel like that at first, but when you see this movement in action, it is almost akin to dancing. No, not that kind of dancing. Here, it's difficult to describe this with words, so perhaps I should just show you. You see what I mean? There's an effortlessness to the way a Scout moves at this level. Every action is just breathing and acting on pure instinct. It's one thing to see this as a spectator, another feeling entirely to experience it firsthand. And what a dance it is. Now I've been waxing poetic about this class for quite some time, and it really seems like it's practically invincible. The reality, however, is that the Scout only has one weakness, and that's you. Specifically, one's overconfidence. Because let's be honest, who wouldn't feel like a badass zipping around the caves, popping big bads, and running circles around enemies? As I mentioned previously, the Scout is a class that pushes movement to its limit. But even limits have breaking points. Whether it's overestimating a grapple, getting too deep among your enemies, or just a touch of bad luck, you have to make sure to not overplay your hand. I describe the Scout's overall movement like a dance. Well, every dance needs partners, and the team is your best partner. Except Driller, probably can't trust him. Overconfidence can make you forget that this is a co-op game after all. It's a team endeavor. Your movement improves the team's movement, and a Scout needs to ensure that they land on their feet, or more specifically, land with the team. Remember, you are one of the team's guardian angels. Keep eyes on them and they will take care of you. Overconfidence can really get you to make reckless mistakes that can end up grinding yourself to a halt, both in movement and your role as a class. But if you look before you leap in everything that you do, you will find that you can fly pretty high. In doing so, you will also find that you'll succeed not just at the dance of movement, but the dance of surviving Hoxies.